So now we're gonna talk about the current status of Ouachita, because it was pretty obvious throughout all of this. And by the way, we still don't have any inkling that the Corps is gonna give permits for our water from degrade from the main pool at least. And our county judge has written some very appropriate letters, and I'm gonna let him tell you about our current status. And some of these people, would you mind taking a couple of minutes, Judge, and fill us in on where we are right now? Because we were on step 6 of 7 for a while to get Ouachita water.
I mean, really, I don't know that I have a lot to say about it, where we're at. I mean, we're kind of in limbo. I mean, the reality is, we were real close, and I'm not accusing anybody of pulling strings or anything of that nature, but the reality is, we were, like Bob said, 5, 6 of 7 steps that needed to be completed, anticipating that water would come from Lake Ouachita or approval sometime in February or March of next year. And now, because of this design demand model that they're requesting, which is really not Hot Springs' fault, it's probably set this thing back, no telling how long. So yeah, I'm a little frustrated with the Corps of Engineers for this, and I have sent letters to all of our congressmen and senators requesting in support of Hot Springs, which is currently asking for a waiver from the Corps, to waive all the informalities and all the bureaucracy and let them have a waiver for MAWA and let it go forward. That's the right thing to do.
Is this political?
I can't prove that.
No,
but my mind says, you know, which I'm a little suspicious anyway, but
It smells like that.
it's just,
It is a food.
but whether it's here nor there or it is, what's happening is wrong. Because this process was started in 2002,
Yeah.
was discussed in 2004. I mean, this has been a very long, drawn-out process. And if the Corps had told the city that they changed their rules in 2011, then that would have been addressed. And the same with when it all was fired back up in 2013. If they would have known that they needed a design model study.
How long will it take to do this design study?
I don't have an answer for that. I see us delayed another year or longer. And I mean, I'm just guessing. That's nothing set in stone. So, you know, I'm kind of jumping over here and helping Hot Springs because I think the waiver is right, and I support them in request for that waiver for Lake Ouachita. Because I think that's the #1 place for us to get our water. It's just common sense.
Who's asking for the waiver? Is the city asking for the waiver?
The city, along with the MAWA group, which is made up of over 20 different water systems that have requested water from Lake Ouachita,
Yeah.
that serves probably, I mean, lots of people in central Arkansas. And so I'm trying to do everything I can to help support that waiver. And that's, so like I said, I've sent letters, I've got correspondence back that all of our congressmen and senators have got it. I don't know any more than that. I think they'll probably work for us, I'm hoping so.
I think I read something in the paper some time back that said, well, the information is now 11 years old. You know,
It is,
because,
it's longer than
yeah,
11 years old.
because it's taken such a long time. I can't see them using that as an excuse to start.
Back in
going
2002
back.
and
Yeah.
4, that when they started this process,
The population's different too.
population's different, but you also have economics is different. We're not experiencing growth like we were back in those days.
Yeah.
Maybe because the city has stopped the water.
When the economy fell, growth kind of slowed down, which was a good thing. And you know, right now I'd say they're not in a shortage for water, but if growth hadn't stopped when the economy fell, I believe they might have been by now. Because the reality is you can't, I hate to see this put off another year to 18 months because to get a project going and to get this thing in service takes 3 to 4 years. And so we can't wait another year and a half or so.
Well, we're good according to the health department, just the way we are to 2030. We're fine.
That's
We've
what
got
we're-
time. Number two, you gotta watch out for this wetland project. It is a government agency that is trying to shut down our access through the UN Agenda 2030. I'm sorry to bring that up, but it's the truth, where all things are regulated even more. This is part of the problem we're having. So it is political. Of course, we can fight it because we need it. And it is our water if we claim it as ours. And if they would just find all the lost water, which is what they said, 30% is bubbling out of the ground, and they're not even finding where it's leaking 24/7, we wouldn't have a problem.
And that's the reality. And the reason that had the economy not slowed down, they could be in a crisis situation, is because of the deficiencies that they have within their system. The Department of Health warned them multiple times about the storage that is still not being addressed. And that's where the issues really come into play. It's not necessarily because of demand, but because of the deficiencies they have within their system.
Yeah, if you read the rate study, it does say 2030.
I know.
And if you read some of the stuff that I've seen from the Corps, they're saying they haven't really proven they got a water shortage. And we've only hit 80% a limited amount of time. And like Bob says, that's only, that's just telling you that you need to be planning for.
They've got major issues when we've got bad weather with turbidity and different things like that, with their ability to pump 20 million gallons a day from their Ouachita plant. They've got major issues. And that's not because of the water, that's because they haven't maintained the facilities, they haven't put back money to fix the pipes when they need to be fixed, they haven't updated the storage, they haven't kept it in good repair.
There's times when they do have problems. Because when there's turbidity levels grow in the Lake Ouachita River there, it makes it very tough to treat water and push it to town. So there's no doubt they have a problem. If all that kind of lined up at the same time and things worked out, there could be a possible emergency. But, you know, on the other hand,
A lot of things would have to line up.
a lot of things would have to line up, but they do have problems with their system. They need to be fixing leaks, and I think they've brought that down some.
They have brought it down.
And so it's not like it's 40% anymore, it's down in the 20%. And so they've worked towards that and getting that down. But the reality is, they need to get the rights to Ouachita. And you know, Lake DeGray, in the world we live in today, I think having water rights down there is a good thing. Because in the future, you know, 30, 35 years ago when I was living here and I was out west and I seen them fighting over water, I said, we'll never have that problem.
That's right.
It's coming.
Yeah.
And so having the rights tied down to that is a good thing.
Yeah, I do, I agree.
I think tied into what she's saying, that EPA, the laws and regulations they're putting on water and mud puddles in your backyard. And I noticed on the city's agenda was something about hot springs, the water, controlling the hot springs. I never thought I would live in a day and age where their ability to say that cows can't go down to the river. No, I'm not joking.
That's the wetlands.
And we accept that. We as people accept that. We allow it. And we have got to say enough is enough.
Exactly. Right now, I think the city, the acting city manager is working real hard to try to get this waiver grant. I've seen some correspondence, and I got to applaud him for that, because I think that's the right way to go. I've also seen some of them from Mawa, so I know they're all working towards this. Whether that'll occur, we'll know soon. And then if they have to do this study, which is more money, here we go, it's gonna push them farther out getting this to happen.
But there has to be a reason that the powers to be
It
in.
could just be that the Corps is a bureaucracy that is
There you
completely unreasonable to work with.
go. Yep.
Or that has political strings, and somebody's going to make money from us going to DeGray. There is money there somewhere.
I don't know of anybody,
It's Ross
I don't know of
Foundation.
anybody yet who's really pulled the strings of the Corps.
Yeah, I don't have proof of that, but my mind wanders just like yours.
Well, we didn't know about the Corps even having anyone involved from Little Rock until this Plaxico gal piped up,
Right.
did we?
And, you know, I kind of thought that too, and what I found out is that division of the Corps in Little Rock actually sees every water study plan in the United States. So that was news to me too. So, I'm learning bits and pieces every time I look at different things. So it's not a simple issue, and I'm like, so I'm on the city side getting the rights to Lake Ouachita. And I think we're gonna have success. I'm hoping, because I think that's the best place for us to get water with our system, how it's built. You know, it all comes from the north, it's closer, the trihalomethanes, and that was the reason for putting the plants on the south end of the town. I do know they have a trihalomethane problem, and that's a fact. I'm not an engineer, but I do know there's a lot of other ways to address trihalomethane without moving the plant to the far end of the county. That I do know, and I think that's something that needs to be researched. So that's about all I got to say.
Okay, I appreciate you. The judge is 100% right. He provided me copies of his letters. And he has put a little pressure on some of these folks to go ahead and get Ouachita approved, and we appreciate the fact that you're doing that on behalf of the county. You asked whether or not this could be political, and I was just thinking, just for your information, I don't know if this makes it political. Dale Kimbrough is the fellow that is on all the emails with correspondence back and forth to the Corps in Vicksburg and other locations. But he seems to be the driving force. He works for CAW. Now, CAW is the old Little Rock's Waterworks, which merged with North Little Rock and is now taking over Maumelle and appear to be expanding. But the umbrella organization is MAWA, Mid-Arkansas Water Authority. And the president of MAWA is Dale Kimbrough. The vice president of MAWA is Bill Burrows.
Oh, boy.
Bill Burrows?
Really?
I didn't say that was political, I'm just throwing it out there. But Matt made a mention of something that's worth repeating, the storage capacity. The Corps, the Health Department of Arkansas has been on the city's case for a long time because every year the storage capacity goes down a little. It's less than half now that's usable. These water towers that you see around town cannot be filled more than half. As a matter of fact, they're down now to, I think it's 48%. And Matt mentioned the fact that they weren't maintained. But if you think about the city, how well are they maintaining the parks? You know, that's why we needed a new city hall, because the roof was leaking.
Yeah.
Streets, so maintenance might be something that we need to talk to the city about putting a little higher on our priority list. But by the way, I should tell you also, December 9th, Bill Burrows was going to try to make it here tonight, but he could not, and he said he would definitely put him in ink for the next meeting, December 9th. So Bill Burrows will be here, assuming he still works for the city. Yes.
What are they doing with all the money? The water department is getting all this wastewater, money
Well,
in,
water and wastewater department is an enterprise fund.
well, I went down to the water department and they said 80% of the water that you're charged for in the city is wastewater.
That's right.
And, you know, I've heard people telling horror stories about having $900
Yep.
wastewater bills in the county.
Yes.
And they must be floating in money. Why can't they reinvest that money in taking care of the storage tanks? And
That's a good question, but it's one you need to ask the city. You know, another thing,
They won't let you talk.
you may or may not, that's true, that you may or may not be aware of is the fact that if you now live in the county, which we do as well as you, we have 2 meters. We have one for our sprinkler system, so you don't have to pay sewerage on that particular meter. They no longer allow 2 meters in the county. 1 meter.
I have well water and they're getting not a damn penny for me. But they will. The time is coming when they will try to get people that have wells.
And you're on Morphew Road. We need to talk to you about a pipeline to Stonegate.
Pretty good well.
Yes.